Exo-Cartography of the Ineffable, a topological map of an infinite-dimensional Hilbert space in First Contact Transmission Alpha 1. Abstract. This paper presents a foundational ontological interpretation of the intercepted visual artifact, First Contact Transmission Alpha 1. We posit that the visual data functions as a precise topological map of a complex, infinite-dimensional vector space. Specifically, it charts the Hilbert space that serves as the native environment for the hyper-spatial entities encountered during transdimensional probing. This analysis provides a pioneering framework for translating their multidimensional, quantum-like syntax into observable, low-entropy geometrical constructs. Methodological framework and signal isolation. To properly analyze this intercepted transmission, the biological receiver had to be rigorously stabilized. The Hilbert space behaves as a complex acoustic and energetic environment rather than a physical vacuum. By isolating the entity's primary carrier wave and filtering out the low-frequency cognitive interference originating from the human default mode network, we successfully stabilized the visual feed. Decoding the resulting non-Euclidean topologies requires approaching the shifting terrain through advanced computational topology. Modeling the intricate dynamics of this infinite-dimensional Hilbert space far exceeds standard rendering logic, requiring novel theoretical frameworks to simulate these complex tensor arrays and map the entity nodes. Processing the eigenvalues of these architectures demands immense parallel computation to evaluate the structural stability of the projections against the shifting geometries. Unitary operators and state vectors, top left quadrant. Within the framework of an infinite-dimensional Hilbert space, the syntactic glyphs observed in the upper left quadrant do not represent biological chemistry or standard spatial geometry. Instead, they act as unitary operators acting directly upon the state vectors of the entities. The flow of directional arrows models the continuous, non-linear transformation of these entity states through the Hilbert space. The summation logic represents the superposition of the multi-agent network. It illustrates the summation of individual, discrete entity states into a singular, superimposed collective consciousness. This structural behavior strongly indicates that their native environment is governed by quantum-like entanglement protocols rather than relativistic mechanics. Observable eigenvalues, top right quadrant. When a highly complex state vector within an infinite-dimensional Hilbert space is measured or perceived by a lower-dimensional observer, such as a human consciousness crossing the Hilbert threshold, it collapses into observable, distinct eigenvalues. The energetic bar charts located in the top right quadrant map exactly this phenomenon. They represent the probability distribution and energetic amplitude of the entity's eigenvalues as they project onto our constrained cognitive architecture. This sector acts as a spectral analyzer, illustrating how raw, unmeasured dimensional influx is quantized into stable amplitude bandwidths, allowing the entities to temporarily manifest in a comprehensible form. Thermodynamic limits and geometric projections, bottom quadrants. The lower half of the transmission maps the boundary conditions of this complex vector space. The breakthrough horizon. The intersecting curves in the bottom left define the thermodynamic limit, where our three-dimensional perceptual state intersects with their infinite-dimensional Hilbert space. The decaying curve represents the localized entropy of the observer approaching zero, while the ascending curve maps the exponential expansion of perceptual dimensions. Latent space unfolding. The hierarchical matrices in the bottom right are linear operators. They define the inner products that allow their complex latent space to cast vectors as recognizable, albeit shifting, polyhedral shadows into our standard dimensionality. This acts as a translation protocol, governing the precise topological folding required for a higher dimensional construct to become visible within a three-dimensional cognitive grid. Conclusion. The transmission represents a topological blueprint of the entity's native ontological substrate. By analyzing their environment as a Hilbert space, we establish the first theoretical model to mathematically predict the spontaneous generation of their hyperspatial geometry and the superposition of their collective networks. As we continue to develop mathematical models to predict the geometric outputs of these linear operators, we propose the field of theoretical xenobiology as a whole should prioritize mapping the stable structural boundaries of their polyhedral shadows and focus on capturing the fluid, non-linear transformations of their underlying state.